For the first time, the Boy Scouts of America has acknowledged that some Scout leaders use the organization to prey on boys for their own sexual perversions. Today, the Scouts president talked candidly with us about the thousands of pages of internal documents that are about to become public. Fox 4's Sean Rabb in now with more on these files that have been up to this point confidential within the scouting ranks, Sean.
Right, except for a couple of legal cases. And those files, Steve, again, maintained by the Scouts for nearly 100 years, chronicle alleged and confirmed abuse of boys. Some incidents never reported to police, others covered up by the Scout leaders. What's been uncovered in a court case soon to be made public for the world to see.
We care about every child, and to the extent that we've made mistakes, we're profoundly sorry.
An apology from the national president of the Boy Scouts of America, as some of the organization's confidential records, known as the ineligible volunteer files, are about to go public. Files kept by the Boy Scouts since 1919 that contain information on suspected and confirmed sexual abusers who preyed on Scouts.
They were created to identify individuals that are unfit to be leaders in scouting, to remove them, and as a barrier to these individuals getting back into scouting.
But records to be released online that were evidence in an Oregon abuse case show some accused of abuse and kicked out moved to other cities and got back into scouting, only to be accused of abuse again. And in some cases, Scout leadership covered up the incidents.
The Boy Scouts of America placed their own organizational name, reputation, image ahead of the protection of boys.
The organization has fought the release of these files, arguing
having a system where people can confidentially report suspected abuse will increase the numbers of reported things. Plus, the victims don't always want everything publicly released.
Chuck Noteboom is a Fort Worth attorney not involved with any of the cases against the Scouts.
It would be better if they had their arm cut off. At least people would see their arm is gone and feel sorry for them. But this is an emotional trauma that burns inside of them and will burn inside of them the rest of their lives.
BSA says it now has a multi-layered approach to Scout safety. 2 deep leadership, 2 adults at all scouting activities, criminal background checks for all staff and volunteers, the ineligible volunteer files continue, a video, how to recognize and report abuse for 11 to 16-year-olds, and mandatory youth protection training every 2 years.
Those mistakes that were made in the past, they cannot and will not be tolerated and be made in today's scouting.
And the Scouts are going back through their ineligible volunteer file to identify cases that should have been reported to police but were not. And Mike Johnson, the youth protection director, says they'll make the wrongs right case by case.
I'm one of those guys who's taken that youth protection training, a scout leader, and it surprised me. I think maybe originally, if you're talking, 80 years ago, that was maybe a good idea back then because you didn't have the reporting that's necessary now. But you look at some of the recent dates, it's like, how was this not reported? What seemed like started as a good idea became a vehicle to cover up, which is not good. So talk about how many sexual predators they think are out there, may still be involved in scouting. What's going on?
Well, they tell me that none are involved, as well as any of the men who may have participated in the cover-ups no longer involved, but they're going to go back and double-check all that to make sure.
All right. We'll see if it all comes out, then people will read it and make their judgments. All right.
Right.
Sean Rabb, thanks. We will update this story as those confidential documents are released. Again, that is expected to happen in a matter of days. You can also watch Sean's complete interview with Boy Scouts President Wayne Perry on our website, myfoxdfw.com.